Welcome to Meet the Author, where you can join in on insightful conversations with best-selling and award-winning indie published authors. Your hosts today are Rob and Joan, who themselves are indie published authors, book publicists, and paranormal investigators with Tampa Bay Spirits, based in Tampa Bay, Florida. Thanks for dropping by. And now, on with the show.
Good evening, I'm Rob.
And I'm Joan. And I want you to see our t-shirts. Yes, big shout out to Georgia Dismukes, Siren Song. It's now going to be a movie. We're really excited. And also George's new book, The Jaguar Quest, just came out yesterday, I think. Hello, Patricia. Glad to see you here. And Trish, Patricia and Trish, you both signed in at the same time. It's good to see you. Our audience, as always, is one of the best audiences on radio. As far as I'm concerned, you're intelligent, you're thoughtful, and you're funny. Now, remember, WLFE-DB.com is now on TV on stream. You can find Variety Unlimited, where you'll find us.
Paul.
Hi, Paul. Paul Hollis is the author of the Hollow Man series. You need to look up his books on Indie Book Source. And Trish says they are pretty awesome as an audience. That is true. They are. Anyway, Variety Unlimited. Hi, James. Welcome back. Good to see you. Right, Paul? They are really cool shirts. They're so cool. Yes. Look, George sent them to us. I don't know if you can see. Yeah. George Dismukes, the movie, Siren Song. The actress, her picture came out really nice. She plays the siren. Variety Unlimited, LGBTQ, Friends, and Paranormal View. And please, as always, like, share, follow, and comment. We love your comments. We love our audience.
Check this out. Hi, Jenny. Your picture is on our shirt.
Yes. That's Jenny,
that's
people.
Jenny. She is the siren.
Yeah. Came out good. The picture came out really good.
And the movie will too, I'm sure.
And you're welcome, Jenny. Welcome to the audience. We're glad to have you. Okay. Yes. Enough of that.
Coming up, so stay tuned. Stay in for the whole show. Coming up in the second half, we have TORY Gates. Been a broadcaster for more than 30 years, right. He'll tell you. And he's the author of 4 young adult books that are good for all ages.
Yeah.
And now we'd like to introduce, without much further ado, KIERSTEN Hall, who's the author and co-founder of Fox Point Publishing. Let's welcome KIERSTEN. Hi.
Hi, KIERSTEN.
Hi. All right, I'm on. You can see me?
Yeah, we can see you.
We can, yes.
How are you doing?
Good. I'm doing well, thank you. And thank you for having me on today. And I hope my signal stays where it should be doing, working.
Yeah, me too.
You're in a land far, far away right now. You're coming to us from central Minnesota.
Yep,
Okay.
West Central Minnesota.
Pardon me for doing this, but I forgot to put this up. This is the Jaguar Quest book cover. Just wanted to do that really quickly before we get into your books, KIERSTEN.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Oh, no, you're fine.
Like I said, there's too much to remember.
We only have so many hands here.
Yeah. So.
And hello to Trish. Trish says hello. So hi.
Yes. She also says she's really anxious to read George's newest book. Yes. All right. So listen, you've had a really busy day. We looked at your schedule. I couldn't believe it. So we're really honored that you would take the time to spend some time with us and our audience. So let's get right to it. Tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got to write books, how you got into publishing, how many authors you have in your publishing house.
And you have 3 minutes. No.
Oh my gosh. All right. My name is KIERSTEN Hall. I live in Minnesota. I have lived in Minnesota for quite a bit of my life, but eventually I will escape and run away. And there you go. But more on that later. For 15, 16 years of my life, I used to be a professional wedding videographer, and I have done in my lifetime 1,403 weddings. And over that time, I have seen a lot of stuff. So it occurred to me that maybe I should write a book about all the fun things I ever saw, because I knew I was going to get old and I was going to forget. And sure enough, I first wrote the book in 2005. Today is 16 years later. And when I opened the book, I'm like, oh, yeah. Totally forgot that. That's right. I mean, I've seen so many cool things and funny things and all that kind of stuff. So that's actually how I wrote, or I got into it, just because I knew I was going to get old and forget. But yeah, I wrote the book in 2005 and then quickly realized how much work it was. I mean, I knew it was work, but I didn't not how much work it would be. And I had 4 small kids at that time. So I shelved it, and I did potty training and swimming lessons and bike riding and tying shoes and all that good fun stuff. And then in 2014, I kind of reworked it, tightened it up a little more, put a new cover on it, and republished it. And so that was that. And I was thinking that was cool. But of course, anyone who can tell you that writes the book, all of a sudden you do one, and then the faucet just starts flowing with ideas. And oh my gosh, it never stops. And so my second book came out in September of 18. Is that right? No, September of 16, Corner Confessions. And this is actually a fiction, nonfiction hybrid. The secrets are real. The secrets and confessions are real. I changed the names, kind of tweaked the stories. We call it fiction. I Can Leave My House. It's pretty cool. So this has got the first 14 in it. And then The Lies We Live came out in November of 2018. That is the second book in this series. And my mom just last night gave me grief. She's like, when are you going to get the third book out? I'm like, I get busy. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I need to finish it up. And first of all, people like to talk about themselves or the things they've done. They appreciate it if there's no accountability. So it takes place in the back corner of a fictional coffee shop, hence Corner Confessions. And it ranges from good feel-good secrets to, oh boy, kind of secrets, and everything in between, all sorts of walks of life and all that kind of thing. So true stories, we change the names, we call it fiction. I Can Leave My House.
KIERSTEN.
Not get sued. What?
KIERSTEN, has anyone confronted you in your neighborhood that is actually in the book?
That recognize themselves.
Well, here's the thing. I changed their names and we call it fiction. So if they don't say anything and I don't say anything, who's the wise? Who's the wiser? None the wiser. But yeah, people have figured out.
Are you seeing this?
What?
Can you read what James wrote?
Oh, I don't look old enough for that. Well, thank you. That's that angelic window light I've got going on.
But that was such a nice compliment. I couldn't let that fly by,
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's just the angelic window light I've got coming in here. But anyway, so yeah, I went through 6 weddings. They were all misadventures.
If you want to do a sequel.
No, I don't shoot weddings anymore. No, I poured everything out of I could think of into that book. But so that was let's see, that was 18 when I did that one. Yes. And about a month before The Lies We Live came out, I all of a sudden the poetic muses got a hold of me. I'm not a poetic person at all, but in 45 minutes, I slammed out Jelly Beans. This is my first children's book, and this really sells very well. People who don't even have kids buy this book, but basically stressing, although people are much like jelly beans, we come in different not flavors, but personalities, sizes, colors, and shapes. We are still ultimately the same in the big candy dish of life. So that is Jelly Beans, and that came out June of 19. And then let's see, September of 2020, I put out The Blue Frog. And so my second book, and this is about, there are 26 blue frogs in the book that kids.
Oh, We're having difficulties.
Technical difficulties. Please stand by.
Hopefully she'll come back on. She's in a hotel room while she's on the road. So I'll redo her books here for her.
There's Jelly Beans. Well, we seem to have lost her. She'll come back here in a second, I'm sure. There she comes.
Okay.
There you are.
There you are.
Yep, there I am. Hi. All right. So did you guys heard about jelly beans? Yep. Jelly beans. Okay. And the blue frog.
We heard about blue frog.
Oh, okay. I didn't know where I fell off. And so that was my fifth book. And then my sixth book comes out here the end of June. And so I do both. I do everything. I've got ideas in my head and they just keep going. So.
Okay. And what about the publishing?
Okay. All right. Right now, my co-publisher is my daughter, who actually has done all of my editing, some of my design work, that kind of thing. And, one of these days when I retire, whatever, this will, whatever, this will be part of her business. But right now, besides myself, I represent 24 authors. They're from all over the United States, and I do every kind of genre. If we don't have it yet, it's probably coming. We have right now 43 open projects at any various stage of being processed, being published. But recently, to give you some ideas, this is Shadow Speak. It's about 420 pages. It's a dark fantasy psychological thriller. It's by Raven Ekman. She hails from Pennsylvania. And then this is The World of Difference. Let's see, book series from Kim Hanzo out of Charlotte, North Carolina. And that is for the 3 to 7-year-olds. Just giving you an idea. Helen Holder, she did 6 books in 2020. She is from Austin, Minnesota. She used to be a first grade teacher for 33 years, so she's got lots of good ideas.
Kirsten?
Yes.
Can we pause for just a second?
Oh, sure.
Let's get your book giveaway going so that people can see these, and they can also...
one more comment.
They can also choose what they want. Something for everyone. I love it. That's great, Trish says.
From all of your authors that you publish.
Okay, so here's, everyone's been waiting for the book giveaway, but here is the book giveaway tonight. It is the first 3 people to email will win a paperback of choice from the Fox Point website. That's US only. Okay, and there's the email address. Okay.
info@foxpointpublishing.com. That's Fox Point with an E for those of you that are listening and you're not watching. Here's Kiersten's Twitter @KHallBooks. That's pretty easy. Yep. And here's Facebook, author.kiersten.hall, and Kiersten spells her name KIERSTEN. All right, and her website is www.foxpoint, that's point with an E, publishing.com. Okay, so
back to the email.
Yes,
get that back there. There you go. There's the email, folks.
So you can go to the website, you can peruse what books there are, then you can go to foxpointpublishing.com, email her there, info@foxpointpublishing.com,
right,
to win a book.
Okay, what other goodies?
Choice.
What other goodies you got there?
And I will point out I'm on the road till Saturday morning. So when I get back to my house, then I'll put the books in the mail. All right. And then let's see, I've got a book here from Joanne Stevenson. She is out of Decorah, Iowa, and this is her second book. Get onto the website. You'll see it, and you can read all about it and such. And when you hop onto the website, that first page, just click on any one of the book covers. It'll take you to the book information page. Home is Love. This is by Ashley LaRue. She is out of Zimmerman, Minnesota, and this is her first. Her second book is out in July, and it deals with different family dynamics. again, read the book cover. All right, this is Night Maze. This is a poetry chapbook. It only comes in hardcover by Paula Basinger Morehart. She is out of Northern Illinois, just a little further. She's like between Rockford and Galena, Illinois, out there. And then The Hitchhiker, this is actually the second in, so it was probably about 260 pages. The second of the Thad Wheeler detective series. It's a cozy mystery 4-book series. We have historical fantasy, nonfiction, World War I books that just came out recently. We have a lot of stuff. Look at the website, you'll see it. And yeah, I could go on for days. But yeah, Carmen Tribbett was our first author. Back when I was putting together Jelly Beans, she had seen the success I was having with my first 3 books. She chased me around Austin, Minnesota, where I live, and she's like, you have to help me get this book out. I'm like, okay, fine. Oh my gosh, you know, she's not off my phone. So that's her claim to fame, besides her 4 Monster Dog books. And she's working on 2 other books right now. But when I first met Carmen, she was 87 years old. And we put out her first book in October of 19, republished another book she had in January of 20, had her 3rd book published on her birthday in March of 2020 when she turned 88. We did her 4th book November of 2020, and she'll have a 5th book coming out by the end of this year. And her 6th book, so the first 5 are children related, and then her 6th book is a caretaker manual for Alzheimer's disease. Her husband had Alzheimer's, so she's doing a nonfiction caretaker, what to expect kind of thing.
Wow.
And then from Carmen did a presentation at the local senior citizen center, and that's where Helen came from. And so just word of mouth. And I've had friends who've thought about writing and whatever, or people have seen us through Facebook or Twitter. And so, yeah, we get a lot of people that come in. I will tell you, I'm not the person that makes the manuscript decisions. That's pretty much the entire editing department, because, you know, you're going to work with them a lot more than you will with me, or at least to begin with. And we do send out rejection letters. They're nice rejection letters, though, but we are very picky. Well, first of all, yeah, and there's suggestions on there. There's sometimes even an invitation to resubmit if you've worked on your manuscript and whatever. But yeah, and in answer to whoever just asked about Carmen's age, yeah, she turned 89 this past March, and she's still going. She's just a spitfire. She's a firecracker. I mean, you would never know she was 89.
Yeah.
And
she started when she was 87. That is such an amazing and inspiring story. It is. It means it's never too late.
Oh no,
James says better late than never.
You got it.
That's right.
And she does very well. She lives kind of a rock star status in Austin. So Carmen Tribbett, yeah. There you go. And let's see. So yeah, we take very few of the many manuscripts that we get, and we work with them from start to finish. I am kind of an all-inclusive kind of person, because my view on it is you don't go out and do anything, you know, not 2,000% if you're going to put it out in the world. So I make sure that my authors are taken care of, and we get the sales done, and I create their brand. I'm the sales and PR person, hence why I'm sitting in a hotel room in northern Minnesota. But
is it true that your son went with you on this trip that you're on, and you had so many books that you had to strap him to the roof rack on the car?
I'm surprised we weren't like driving like this up against the window. Oh my God, I can't. Yeah. And I always would tease my kids, you know, if you don't behave, I'm going to stick you up on the roof rack. Just keep your mouth shut so the bugs don't come in.
There you go.
And,
George says, didn't Grandma Moses start painting in her 90s? I don't remember, George, but she was old.
I wasn't there.
She was old when and look at what she did. You're right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And good for you that you gave her a shot.
Yeah.
And
no
good
kidding.
for her that she chased you down until you would give her a shot.
Yeah, she did. She got a hold of us through the bookstore in Austin. The owner there, Lisa, said, well, you should talk to Kirsten. And so she started diligently chasing me around, and I'm like, okay, fine. I mean, it was just, you're busy and stuff. And I had really never thought about helping anyone else,
Right.
And I will say, my friend and our one of our authors, Alicia Sanchez, who actually lives on the other side of Florida on the Atlantic Ocean, I had been talking to her, and I told her about Carmen, and Alicia was like, well, maybe this is your fate. Maybe this is your kick it over the fence and do something. So I will actually blame Fox Point on both Carmen and Alicia. Those are the two instigators right there.
Good for them.
So, yeah, it's good to have good friends.
Yes, and we can testify to the fact that you really go all out for your authors when we just looked at what your schedule was today.
Oh my goodness.
And then you took time to sit down here with us. We're really appreciative of that. You've had a very busy day.
Mm-hmm. Well, it keeps me out of trouble,
Or it gets you into trouble, one of the two.
Yeah. And then I write a book. It's great. No, yeah.
That's right.
Yes. So that's basically what I do. We're all inclusive, and I create the brands, and I get people out into doing presentations and meet and greets. And I can't tell you how excited I am that 2021 and vaccinations have rolled around. Yay.
Yes. Yay.
Because all of our authors that came in on 2020, they're like, and I'm like, I'm your publicist, and I swear I can do a really good job. The world just has to be open. And so, I mean, it was 2 weeks ago, one of our authors, Regina Noel Downing, she's out of Decorah as well. In one afternoon, like 3 hours, I booked her 7 gigs for the month of July.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I have the network. I know the people. I'll turn a cold lead into a hot lead. The authors just have to call with their calendar and figure stuff out. And I'll get people out there. But I am so happy we have a vaccine. I can't tell you how happy I am about that. So
just looked it up. Grandma Moses began when she was 78, George says. Mm-hmm. Yep. So, I mean, come on, there's hope for all of us.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the moral of the story is, I think, if you've got a story, get it out there. It doesn't matter if you're 10 or 80, or 90,
Well,
go ahead and get it out there,
Well, what I was going to say is I saw something on Facebook, because clearly everything on Facebook is true, right? But anyway,
absolutely. You can take it to the bank.
Exactly. But if it's true, apparently a library or whatever in Sweden or something, you can rent 30 minutes or an hour's worth of time with someone and get to know someone rather than a book. You rent the time with the person and just have a conversation and ask them about their life or whatever the case may be. So in that vein, if you think, oh, no one would ever be interested in my life, or no one would be ever, no, there are people who would find it probably really fascinating. Yeah. I mean, so put a book out there. Why not?
Well, Trish says, I know I need to write, but I just finished a YouTube video, so I've accomplished something creative this month.
Very good.
Oh, she's also said she saw that sitting down and learning a story with a person. So brilliant. I would love to do that. The libraries are pretty cool. Mm-hmm. All of our libraries shut down tight, in 2020. Yeah, and our team used to go out on paranormal talks in the libraries and everything, but that all ended with COVID. But now we're all vaccinated, or should be. I do not believe an author's heart knows age. I agree with George 100%. And I think, Tori, who's coming up next, writes young adult novels, but we all know that everybody of all ages reads young adult novels, and that's, I agree. There is no age. I love reading all kinds of books. I like reading Dr. Seuss with my youngest grandchildren. It's, and I can write for somebody that's 3 or 100. I'm closer to 100-year-old, but
That's where I am. Anything that piques my interest. I mean, really, if the idea enters my head and rattles around in there long enough where, I mean, it doesn't just, disappear. I mean, it actually stays in there. It's like, okay, fine, I'll add that to the list of the things I have to do. And of course, whether I get to that list or not, that's another story. But, I add it to the list. I feel,
true. So Lillian
I'm pretty
says,
excited if I can remember.
I was just looking at her site, and some of the children book covers are so cute. Yes, she showed them earlier. Let me I'll put some of them back up for you so you can see them. Here we've got jelly beans.
I will tell you, our
blue frog too.
Yeah, the bottom.
I see it.
Oh,
yep. I've got it. I put it up.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. We have incredibly talented people. Now, I will brag all about them. We have about 9 or 10 people in our editing department. We have 6 illustrators, I think, and 3 designers. They do incredible work. I mean, I am just flabbergasted, one, that they came on with us and took faith in us and our crazy idea, and we're blessed every day to have them in our lives. And I can't wait until I actually get to meet some of these people in person. I know a few, but not a lot. And boy,
really,
yeah, talent to the table. My gosh, it's just impressive.
Well, that's
I will put it out here.
That's what we're finding doing this podcast, is that we get a chance finally to meet the people we've been working with, and all you guys are just so creative, and it's just a blessing. It really is.
Yep. And I wanted to read Caleb's comment. He said, George, an author's imagination doesn't know age either. Right. And I think that's what George was. She says, hi, Caleb. And he said, glad to be with you, Trish. But yeah, I think that's absolutely true. And your author proves that,
Oh yeah.
That's fabulous. I'm excited for the work that you're doing.
Well, I will. I'm going to do a plug for Kayla Olson Surface. She was the first illustrator that really came on with us about a year ago. And if anyone from Pixar is out there and needs an illustrator, that is her ultimate dream job, besides Fox Point Publishing. I mean, she already accomplished that. But and not that I want Pixar to steal her from us, of course, but it's a conundrum. She's good. She's good, and she
not
wants
quite
Pixar
yet,
job.
right?
Did she
they can have her. Huh?
Did she do Blue Frog or Jelly Beans, since you're talking about Pixar? No.
Blue Frog, she did the people in Blue Frog.
Okay.
My daughter actually did the people, the rest of the book in the Blue Frog. My daughter actually illustrated, but Kayla came in and did the people. Kayla has done the Bobby Bear series, An Unusual Tale, Gertie's Glorious Fabulous Fireworks, the Best Magic of All, the Troll book. And again, it's all on those book covers when you get onto the website. But Kayla has done a lion's share of our books. And then Kim Hanzo came on last September. And so really, Kayla and Kim are the 2 main illustrators. And then we just hired another 2 or 3. I don't know. Chelsea takes care of that. Chelsea's my daughter. So she's the production end of it. I'm the get the book and get it out into the world end of it. Also the comedic relief. That's me too. Yeah.
Well, we've made it to the bottom of the hour.
Yeah.
And that's the magic time when we have to do a couple of commercials. And Kiersten, we want you to sit tight where you're at. And when we come back from our 3 to 5 minute break, we'll have Tory Gates coming on.
And I want our audiences to sit tight too and think of more comments and questions. We love hearing from you. And we'll be right back after this word from our sponsors.
Oh, yeah. Life just got sweeter now that WLFE DB has merchandise. Show your support by purchasing your t-shirts for WLFE, Paratalk Radio, Inside the Drag Closet, and more. But it doesn't stop there. t-shirts, coffee mugs, tanks, buttons, cloth bags, and more. Go to WLFE-DB.com. On the top bar, click on the merchandise tab and bam, there you go. You got merch. Support the shows. WLFE-DB.com.
At Indie Book Source, you can shop by genre or by author, and you will be buying direct from the author's main purchase link. We offer hundreds of titles in formats that include ebooks, paperback, hardbound, and audiobook. Support an indie author. Visit indiebooksource.com today.
In a world where advancing technology is outpacing crime solving, the O'Rourke team continues their relentless pursuit of justice. Bioprints is the first book in the O'Rourke crime novel series where it's high-tech crime versus old-fashioned detective work. Visit carternovels.com or amazon.com and check out Bioprints today.
WLFE Digital Broadcast Network presents Variety Unlimited Television. Watch shows like Meet the Author Podcast, The Bipolar DM, Just Cindy, Card Pulls and Coffee, Unfiltered Talk with Bryce, and more. That's right, our shows are your shows on WLFE Digital Broadcast Network. And now, back to the show. Hi, Tori.
Hi, Tori. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Oh, we appreciate you being on. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Appreciate it. Thanks. It's middle of the week, but we've made it.
Yeah.
Looks like you've got a cat there.
Oh, yes. This is my assistant, Baldrick.
Oh,
Baldrick.
yeah.
Can you see
Trish
him?
Pickens has been waiting for Baldrick. She's the owner of Katerina.
Yeah.
He's
Well,
a beauty.
Baldrick shows up quite often in things, so he's kind of cool. He's a big help.
There you go.
Trish says, I see a lovely black kitty.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Tori, you've been a broadcaster for 30 plus years. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the short story for my life, I would like to think you could get it on the back of a postcard because I grew up in Vermont. That's where I was born. I was born in the northwest part of the state, up in ski country. I grew up on a farm, and I got involved in broadcasting when I went to college. I'd always been interested in it from a listener standpoint, and I really didn't think I was going to be involved in it, but I got to go to college in Maine, and I got to go to a small college with a communications program that needed people, gave us some hands-on, and I very quickly just started finding jobs. And so I've spent most of my career in New England. I've lived in Pennsylvania for the last 21 years. I live in Harrisburg now. I've had 37 years in the business, still going in it. I've done a little bit of everything. Currently, this is how it is. I work for the Radio Pennsylvania Network, which is a statewide news network. We do news, sports, public affairs content. I work for a couple of other stations to the east of here in Lebanon County. I work for the Harrisburg Senators as a producer of their radio broadcasts, some of their games. I host an online music program for a station. It's called Radio Airwave Station. It's based in England. And yes, I write. So
not to
Which
mention
is
writing.
why you're on this show, because you write. And yes, you can find him on Indie Book Source also. So tell us how you got in. Oh, no.
No.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Tell us how you got
I'd like
into.
to find him on there.
Tell us how you got into writing.
Well, I've been writing all my life. I've been telling stories, other people's or my own, for a number of years, and it was just something that I did. My attempts at writing long form never really went anywhere in high school or in college. I just didn't have much of an understanding in terms of the work that needed to go into it, and I never really thought a lot of it through. I was better at writing short things. In radio, in broadcasting, you're writing commercial copy, news copy, all kinds of things. So I was good at that. I was also a songwriter, and I was in a band for a few years, and the short thing was always easy. I got a chance to try a science fiction novel in the early 90s, and I got really obsessed by it. And I can't tell you how many times I typed the story out. And it just really never went anywhere because it was one of those things where I had a good friend read the first part of it, and he said, this would be a good Star Trek episode. And it was like, it took me a while to sort of figure out, okay, fan fiction, this isn't original enough. And I shelved it, and I didn't really do anything again for a number of years. There were just different reasons. And then I got an opportunity in 2007 where I worked for XM Radio before the merger for a number of years as a traffic reporter and that sort of thing. And I suddenly started having this idea for a story, and all these weird threads started to come together, and I just started piecing them into something, and it turned out to be a story called Searching for Roy Buchanan, which is my latest book. It took several years, several rewrites, and me writing other things before it finally came out a couple of years ago. And it's a good thing it was a wait, because my writing style changed over the years, and it just continued to evolve as I wrote other things. Parasite Girls was my self-publishing debut in 2013. I did that through Amazon and Smashwords, and that was how I got noticed. And the way that came about was I did a book here in Harrisburg at a place called the Midtown Scholar, which is a bookshop, and I shared a book signing with a guy named Robert Walton, who has written books for Sunbury Press, which is right here in Pennsylvania. And he said, our publisher would be really interested in you. And so I emailed him, and a few months later, we kind of chatted back and forth. And they said to me, if you've got something that you really think is good, send it, and we'll look at it. And I chose a book called A Moment in the Sun, which was a very unusual book for me. It was a very dark sort of young adult type of thing. And, at the end of 2015, they got back in touch and said, yes, we want to do this. So, and that's just really where it started. Sunbury Press is an independent press here in the Mid-State. They've been around for a number of years. We have several different presses. The fiction imprint is Brown Posey Press. And you can see all of that at sunburypress.com. You can see the other authors, and you can see all of my work. And I've just had an opportunity to work on an indie press. I've had an opportunity to work with them and to just sort of explore some of these strange stories that I've written. So, and it's been a long trip, but it's been a lot of work. But I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed every minute of it, and I've got more to bring out.
Okay, let's get your book giveaway going here. Get down here.
Kirsten's having a few problems.
Yeah. Okay, wait a second.
Well,
and there we go.
Well, basically, it's kind of like hearkening back to the old radio days. There's my email. The first 3 people to email me, tell me the title of the book you want, and I will send you a signed copy, and we can take it from there. And if you want an ebook or something like that, we can do a PDF. Easy. I'm very happy to get a chance to open the doors to a new audience and get some new readers. That's one of the things that we constantly have to do, is find more of an audience. If we haven't found it yet, we have to keep looking for our audience and just keep finding new people to talk to, and hope that they get attracted enough by what we say or by our covers to pick them up.
So I want to just speak that out loud. His email is torygatesmedia@outlook.com. Okay. And so that's where you can email.
That's for the book giveaway.
That's for the book giveaway.
Or just a chat.
Or just a chat, yeah. And Facebook is Tory Gates Author, just as it sounds. Twitter also @Tory Gates. And here's your radio.
I think if they click on the listen button, they can make choices and hear some of your past shows.
Well, you get
click the listen button at radio-airways.co.uk.
Right. When you click on the listen button, you'll get a series of choices of what kind of a player, and you'll get the live stream, whoever is on at the time. And
okay.
I'm on Mondays from 5 to 8 p.m. Eastern. I do a show called The Music Club, which is a blues program. I try to spotlight newer music that's coming out from established artists and others that people may not know. And it's just 3 hours of music that's really, really good and that I really enjoy, and turn people onto some things.
We have a question for you from one of our listeners. So what clicked for you? I'm having trouble finding which story is the one I should write. I've started a few and then just stopped.
That's a good question. I would just say, and for each one of us, it's completely different. I would say if you have one out of all of the others that just feels like this one hits you emotionally and hits you strongly, and you have an idea of, if you have an idea of how it's going to go, if you have like a beginning and an end, or even just a good beginning where you know that if you're going to keep at it, just get to it and take that one that really makes the most sense and resonates the most with you. This isn't an II thing, but we have the 4 books that are published. I will also say that the sequel to Searching for Roy Buchanan, Call It Love, is going to be coming out a little bit later this year. And that is a series that has really taken on a life of its own. The main thing I say is keep writing. I probably have about 20 unpublished works, some of which do still need some work, but I have kept an eye on them over the years, and I'm continually coming up with new things. My style is a little bit different, and this is something people ask me all the time, is how do you do this? How do you see it all the way through? And for each person, it's different, but what I do is I will not write anything for sometimes months or even a couple of years. I'll have an idea cooking in my head, and I'll just let it cook. And the things that I'm looking for is, does it keep coming back to me? Does the story start to play out in my mind? Is this something I have not done before? I don't want to repeat myself. And as that's happening, I'll write out a whole set of characters. My character list will be sketches of each one of them. How old are they look like? What makes them distinguishable from other characters? I'll do that. Then I'll write out a timeline of, okay, chapter 1 is this, chapter 2 is this, chapter 3 is this. And the timeline could be as much as 50 pages long. And I don't adhere to it. I just get it together. And then when I feel the time is right, I just block the time out and I go. And the way I write is, when I do the first draft, I will write 1 chapter a day, no matter when during the day it is. And I'll just finish the chapter. If it's 5 pages or 20 pages, it doesn't matter. And sometimes I'll just keep going. And if you do, that's a bonus. So it usually takes about a month to get the first chapter done, or the first draft done. Sometimes I can do it in 2 to 3 weeks. But the important thing is find the one that really resonates with you, and then just do it. As an old artist friend of mine said, the only way you get anything done is to just do it. So that's what I tell people.
That's true. That's absolutely true. And as far as the what you were saying about, you've got about 20 books that need work, maybe. I think a lot of us that are authors have many books that we've started or that we've done and we've never published, that maybe we want to tweak them.
They're in the waiting room.
They're in the waiting room, yes.
Well, that's it. And the thing too is with some, with my press, we have quite a few authors. We have a ton of new books each year. So it's the matter of getting it done, working with your editor, getting your cover artist together, and just keep doing. To do that is a thing. I'd love to do a book a year if I could, but it's one of those things where it's what is your publisher going to go with? How far along of the series are we going to go? What other projects do they have? Then there's your cover artist. How is that person? I will say this. I will shout out to Mitch Bentley. He is the gentleman who does all of my covers. Mitch is brilliant. He's one of the coolest guys, and he is nationally known. He's been around a long time, and I was just very fortunate to have a friend that knew him. and he just delivers really cool covers every time. And that's another thing. A cover really does make the book. It may not be fair to judge it by the cover, but you need a good. If you don't have one, you are nowhere. And I've seen friends of mine get hurt by, I'm sorry, rotten covers. So
Trish says, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate your answer. It's truly helpful.
You're welcome.
And let me see. So did he do this cover?
Well, oh yes, he's done all of them. He's done all of them.
All of them.
Okay.
All right.
Moment in the Sun and
Live from the Cafe.
Live from the Cafe, and one more Parasite Girl. No, not that one. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Wait a minute. We have one more here. This one. Yeah. That we started with.
Yeah, and you can see all of these on Amazon, because I have an Amazon.com page. Also, as I say, Parasite Girls is self-published, so you can find it there. The others are on sunburypress.com, and it's cool.
Trish says, you need eye candy. It's the world we live in. A good cover is important. Well, it also says something about your book, too. There's something you want to convey, that you want to tell people about your book.
Yeah, and it's sometimes it's just finding the right scene or finding the right look. And I don't always have it. Because Parasite Girls is a great example. Our mutual friend, Alice Pottiger, was the one who read the book, and we were discussing, what is this cover going to be? This is one scene. This is literally one scene in the midst of the book involving one of the side characters. And it is a character who suffers from bipolar disorder. And this woman, Sora, is just having a mad painting thing. This is her way of creating. And she is just banging out this painting in one night. And she said, that's got to be the scene. And it certainly was compelling. It got me kicked off a television program because they didn't like the cover.
Oh.
And
we don't either. So good night, Tori. No. Just kidding. No, it's a great cover.
I've only put it up 3 times. So yeah.
But they do work.
That side character, that it's interesting how sometimes your side characters become really important to you and to the reader and to the book cover. Live from the Cafe is a brilliant concept and not quite like anything I've ever read before.
That's what Caleb says, yeah.
That's high praise, Caleb.
Well, Caleb gave me a shout out earlier today, and I appreciate it. Thank you for that.
He's very supportive.
That's probably the most normal book I've written, and probably the most simple that I have ever seen, and that in my own mind, that is a separate story in all itself. And I had no plans to write it, but there's a lovely backstory to it, and it worked for me. This was A Moment in the Sun had come out in 2016. That was a whole story in itself. And Live from the Cafe was a situation where I am a coffeeholic, and I spend a lot of time in coffee shops. And I just happened to be thinking one day, if I ran a coffee shop, what would it be like? And knowing me, I was going to make it the most uncorporate and strange place that I could come across. And so I just literally pieced together a number of the places I've been, everything from Starbucks to this bizarre hole-in-the-wall coffee place that basically had a couple of coffee dispensers and a counter that had been left over from the previous business in New Hampshire. And as I was putting it together, I went back home in my mind. I grew up in Cambridge, Vermont, which is a small farming community. It's northwest part of the state. It's about an hour from the Canadian border. And I just started thinking about what would a small town, a small village like that one. I created a small town in Quebec called Harlansville, which doesn't exist. And I created this odd little village that doesn't have very much in it, but it has this old bar that got turned into a coffee place, and it becomes the magical center of the town's universe. And I decided to make it about every place I'd ever been. And back in a hometown, it's where small town people talk about change. They talk about difference. They talk about all of the things that are going on in their lives. And it centers around two people who both left town for their own reasons, but came back to give their home a second chance. It's about the people who stayed. It's about the new people who have come to town. And it's about the strange and sometimes famous people who just roll in to play music. So it's a guessing game for people to look at some of these characters and find out who are they. And the thing that's fun about that is all of those people are real. Every single one of them is real. You get to figure out who they are. So I just had fun. It was a fun story. I did not think Sunbury wanted to put it up. And my publisher, Lawrence Moore, said, "This is great. We want to do it." And I'm like, well, all right. So it's a wonderful story. And I'm really happy that people find it a good thing.
That's great. And it just struck me that you have Live from the Cafe and Kiersten has Corner Confessions.
That's amazing.
And, I mean, they really kind of dovetail.
That's why we invited you both.
No.
That sounded familiar as she was talking about it.
Yeah.
No,
that's crazy.
That was just serendipity.
Yeah, there you go.
But that's really amazing. And I really understand why Caleb said that it's a brilliant concept and not quite like anything he's ever read before. Well, you certainly took that Star Trek comment to heart, didn't you?
Well, I'll tell you what it is. It was one of those things where I also had an agent in New York actually look at the book. And she had one of her colleagues look at it. And he basically said it wasn't a bad idea, except that it just sagged really bad in the middle, the old sagging middle. And my agent really just said to me, look, it's a good idea, but it's one of those ideas that needs a lot of work. You may want to rethink it, or you may just want to look someplace else. And I just put it aside because real life got in the way. And I just kind of didn't really think. And as I got older, I thought, you know what? This isn't it. This was a good exercise. This was a good lesson. Fine. And what I do is look at, I have to kind of jump back to Searching for Roy Buchanan, partly because it is the latest book, but in 2007, this was when I really decided to make it serious. Essentially what happened was I decided that the elevator pitch for Searching is this. It's about a Japanese teenager named Aki. She's 15 years old. She has the ability to time travel and doesn't know how to use it. And she and two brothers who are pictured here they have a chance meeting with this weird retired blues musician who mentors one of her brothers and sort of serves as a mentor to Aki. And as she is trying to test her power, they start having these misadventures back in time. They meet legends of the blues. They meet people that died before anyone knew who they were, people who were never known. And as they are learning about the music, each one of them is getting touched by it. Aki's understanding her powers a little bit better, and it's the power of music. And Searching for Roy Buchanan was a title. It just stuck as a title. I had a lot of respect for Roy Buchanan as a guitarist and a musician, but I wasn't a huge fan of him. Why his name popped up, I have no idea. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized how much he changed the instrument for his own ability throughout the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. A brilliant musician in his own right, a guy with quite a career. And I was very fortunate to meet and have a talk with a gentleman named Billy Price, who sang in Roy's band in the 70s. He was on 2 of his records. And he gave me some very interesting insights about what Roy Buchanan was really like, what kind of a person he was. Very difficult guy to get to know, but once you got to know him, there was a real bond there. So I knew I was on the right track because all I had were interviews and some very brief video of this man. And I was like, God, I hope I get this right. Being set in Japan, there's another thread. People always ask me, why did you do that? And I said, well, first of all, always been a history buff. I minored in history in college. I was very interested in Japanese history. I was interested in Japanese culture from a number of different standpoints. I took martial arts as a kid. I was very interested in grappling, wrestling, technical fighting of the kind that they offered. Very interested in Japanese history and pop culture, anime, manga, that kind of thing. And the main reason that I set it in Japan and created Aki and all of these people was I just wanted to do something different. I just wanted to try something completely different.
Well, that sounds different.
It sounds great.
Sounds great.
We have 2 questions for you. One is from Trish. Tori, you said your cat makes an appearance. Do you mean in your stories?
He does not. He shows up on camera quite often. He shows up on camera here. He shows up on my radio program when I stream it on Twitch. The one of the most interesting and difficult things I've had is this is going to be weird, but in my stories, now I grew up on a farm. I used to have several more cats than I do now. Getting pets into the story sometimes is a little hard. In Live from the Cafe, there is a very interesting cat named Saint Andre, and he is a character all his own. And I try to just sort of make sure that pets are a part of it too. And I just try to, that's another thing too, is trying to populate your story. Like we talked about side characters. Everybody in my story has a reason for being there. Even if you only see them for a little while, they love the story, that sort of thing.
Okay, so George says, a miniature, okay, Naha, I'm assuming it's the Spanish pronunciation, George, but forgive me if it's supposed to be Naja, who is a Black Panther. But Caleb had said, did they meet John Lee Hooker and Leadbelly Ledbetter?
Huddy Ledbetter, also known as Leadbelly. That would be telling. They do meet some very interesting people, and I could not possibly put everybody in it that I wanted. And I think what happened for me was I had to find specific people that worked for the story. And also it had to be someone that really drove the story either from their own music or from the story that they had to tell. And most of these people, if they're not named, you get a pretty good idea of who they are. And as now Searching is the first book of what I began calling the Sweet Dream series. And I called it that because Roy Buchanan used to do an instrumental version of Patsy Cline's Sweet Dreams. And that's just the loose title for it. As the series goes on, the blues will always be a touchstone for Aki's brother Hiro because that's the first music he's heard. That's the first music he's learning on guitar. So we're going to find out more about what he does. The musical horizon will always expand, but they're always going to come back to the blues. So it's going to be very interesting to see who else shows up. Baldrick actually is a guy. He is a guy. He is a boy. And I've had him for 16 years. So he's one of my kids. What can I say? But yeah, this is the thing. It's like music has always driven my inspiration more than other literature or anything like that. And that's been from being a musician, being a DJ, and listening to the music that you get a hold of before other people do. And I can't really begin to describe it except to say that it's always just made me think beyond the songs and think about my own music and think about where we go from there.
Okay, so I've been corrected. Naha is a jaguar, and she is amazing. Trish says that. And George also said, and I'm sorry, George, Naha, yeah. Not a panther, a jaguar. And I'm sorry, you got to attribute that to my age. You're lucky I remembered the name of a big cat.
So at this point, do you guys have any questions for each other, Kiersten and Tori, throughout this? You've listened to each other's experiences and so on.
I would be interested.
Well, I did. Now, first of all, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
I when Tori started talking about his book being in a coffee shop and stuff, I'm like, wow.
Me too.
Kismet, serendipity that we would be on the same show, and that's just funny. But yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah, and as a matter of fact, I was thinking of when he was saying, you know, it would be fun to even just write a script for it and pitch it as a TV series.
Well, that's a former girlfriend of mine said that. She said, this is a Netflix series waiting to be written. I could see it as a television series because I think you could get 1 to 2 seasons out of it in terms of the length of it. There's enough characters, there's enough side plots, but all of it fits together really well. I had a talk with an independent filmmaker named Chris Fetchko, and he threw some questions at me about it, more just to see how far along I think I was when it came to the idea. And honestly, it is something that I would love to do either as a film or as a television series. That's another thing too, is when I write, I took this piece of advice from a fellow journalist. She once asked me, she said, is this your first book, that old sci-fi thing? She said, could you make a movie out of this? And I said, yeah, it writes like one. And she said, do that. And I look at each one as a potential movie. Live from the Cafe would be a great television show. I think it would be a fun show. As it's set in Canada, it would be like, I would love, you know, Canadian actors. I think there's plenty of folks that would be very happy to do it. I do have an idea for a couple of the characters in mind. Whether or not we could get them, I have no idea, but it would be a fun thing to do. I would love to do it.
Well, you know, with the Canadian end of it, you could get Dan Levy involved somehow. Did you guys see Schitt's Creek at all?
I've seen bits of it. I don't watch a lot of TV.
Oh, well, neither do I. But once, you know, something, I get into it, I have to watch it. And Dan and Eugene Levy on Schitt's Creek, beautiful. I mean, I just love that entire show. Binge watched it, of
Levy
course.
is great. And also, I mispronounced Nadja. It is Nadja, not Naha. So, hard J, George said. Which, you know, by the way, Siren Song. It's going to be a movie.
Right there, movie.
It was going to be a TV series. So that's interesting that you said you thought it could be a good TV series. But I think either one of your books about the cafe would be good TV series.
Or maybe a reality TV series.
Well, I've looked at a lot of My Corner Confessions would easily be I don't know, a 2 or 3 season Netflix, Hulu kind of thing, easily.
For sure.
You know?
It would be a lot of,
and it'd be fun to do.
Oh,
yeah, it would
honestly.
be, our show would be different that way. It would be interesting to see it done in a different medium and to see how someone else sort of interprets it. How does someone direct that kind of thing? But no, I would love to see it. It's just another way of getting more people to look at it, maybe go back to read the books and that sort of thing.
Oh yeah, I think so. I think a lot of people do watch TV series and movies and go back and read the book because, you know, the book is always going to be fuller. You're going to get a lot more out of a book than you're ever going to get out of a TV show or a movie.
Yeah, and
I think so.
Yeah. And there's a reason that they left 3 chapters out of Trainspotting when they made the movie. The mind of Irvin Welsh. It's like there's 3 chapters that I could see. I mean, let's just say they are so dark and so graphic that no filmmaker could touch them. That's how far they are. But the book was brilliant. I thought the movie was fabulous. I did see the movie first. That's just a good example. I mean, Ewan McGregor was amazing, so it was pretty awesome.
Trish said, I did with Game of Thrones. I watched the first episode and learned it was a book first. Yeah, the books are great. Of course, he takes so long to write his books. He does. 7 years later.
He sounds like me.
Well,
I get around to things.
Well, that's the thing. Actually, Kiersten, that's something I wanted to ask you. In terms of your business now, you are, as you were talking earlier about being on the road and traveling around to libraries, traveling around the book signings. This is your life. This is a full-time job, isn't it? And where do you get you have a family, you have a team, right? You must have a team. How you do it.
And I missed that first part. Where do I get my what?
You have a team, you have your family and that sort of thing. But in terms of the business, how much of it is you and how much of it is like having people around you that can help you, you can delegate and that sort of thing? It just seems like it is 24/7.
Oh, it is 24/7. Yeah. I sleep for about 6 hours and I work part-time 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. But fortunately, well, probably bad, I'm a workaholic, but two, I enjoy it. I have lots of fun with what I do. And this kind of work all the time, all the time. I've been self-employed for 32 years, so I'm used to it. It's no big deal to me. But for the book production end of it, my daughter, she is literally the project manager on everything that is going on right now. And I learned the word delegate in 2020. It was the coolest thing ever. I'd never done that before. It was so cool. And I have an accountant who's fabulous. She takes care of numbers and bills and HR. She's our honorary HR person too. She is incredible. Liz, big shout out to you. I have my daughter who does the whole project management, makes sure that, everyone is doing what they're supposed to do and the projects are on track. I'm really only sales, PR, marketing, sales. I do the legal stuff, and I'm the one that if you have a question that doesn't really fit into any category, the weird oddball question, you might as well go ask Kiersten. She'll make something up that answer that. And other than that, but we all have our niche of what we're good at, and I never thought I'd ever be good at sales. That's for sure. I was such a wallflower when I was growing up, but then 32 years ago, I became self-employed. So I figured, if I wanted to eat and pay my bills, I better talk to someone. And that's actually, so I just jumped in the deep end and did that. But yeah, that's our team. We've got, I think, 40 people on Fox Point right now. That includes the authors. And our authors do an incredible job getting themselves out there too. You can't just sit on the couch and wait for the royalty checks to come in. I mean, they'll come in, but not as fast as you want them to.
What's a royalty check?
That's that make-believe. No, I'm kidding. No, our authors do get royalties. That's for sure. And I think now with 2021 and the world opening up more, I think they're going to be pleasantly surprised at how well that can actually happen.
Hallelujah.
With having events. I mean, that's just the biggest thing. Getting in front of people, getting to visit with your readers and know your readers. That's huge.
Absolutely.
I mean, the virtual thing was great, but man, in person is where it's at.
Yeah, I don't mean to interrupt. Yeah, it's one of those things like I was talking about earlier, I think, was trying to find your audience and getting out there. 2020 killed anything that we were going to do. I am going to be back in action. Well, it's not until October that I have it. I'm going to be doing Sci-Fi Valley Con for the second time in Altoona, Pennsylvania, which is one of the most fun events to do. And it's not just for authors, it's for costume makers, cosplayers, if you're a fan of any kind of pop culture, it's a great place. I made a lot of really good friends there, met some really cool people. And those are the most fun when you can go somewhere and it's like you have the opportunity to meet people, and you also learn how to read a room. You also learn how to read a person. The thing that I have learned through my own experience was you really have to kind of go by yourself and and you have to do the work. You have to set up your tables. You have to set up your gear. You have to set up your space, because if somebody else is doing it on your label, you're going to be fighting with your own people for something, and there's no point in doing it. It's, yes, you're competing with the people around you, but a lot of those places, people come in for certain things. They're probably not coming in for you. They're probably coming in to see someone or that kind of thing. But if you get the chance to make contact, then you can really learn how to talk to people.
Absolutely.
Are they interested? Are they not? And then
Absolutely.
And then you go from there. So it's but yeah, this now that things are starting to open up again in Pennsylvania, I'm out looking for any place else that I can present or do whatever. And yeah, I just have to do more of that. That's something I have got set as a goal for myself, is do more events, and we'll see what happens with that.
Absolutely. Robert White, I just want to say, wallflowers have more time to study and take in details. About your sales comment. Hello, Robert. He's coming in from Australia.
Good morning, Robert.
Good morning.
We all do that.
Good morning. Yeah. I was going to ask Tori, you said Altoona, Pennsylvania. Is that next to Harrisburg?
That is to the northwest by a couple of hours. You basically go. It's north of Pittsburgh. So basically, it's about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's about 3 hours thereabouts, and it's out toward Pittsburgh, up I-99 into a beautiful part of Western Pennsylvania. The Blair County Convention Center is where they do it. They've been doing it they did it for 9 years. They had to stop due to the pandemic, but they're coming back this year, and what an event it is. It is really something.
I will have to share that with Raven Ekman. She is not only an author of ours, but she started with us as an editor. And she is one of, Raven lives in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. So just, down the road from you.
Yes,
and
that's great.
Yeah. And I will have to share that with her. She probably even knows about it. But yeah, Ray does the lion's share of our editing.
Oh, excellent.
Incredibly talented person.
I miss conventions. Trish says, I miss conventions. I can't wait to get back to them. They are usually very author friendly. Then she said, for you, Tori, look into Dragon Con.
Yep. Dragon Con is an interesting one. I think,
oh, yes.
I've been a little bit I've been careful about choosing the ones that I go to. Part of it is the cost to get into them. And also it's the question of, does my work really fit? It's a possibility. It's really interesting to see some of the different conventions that go on, and I love the fact that so many of them are really interesting. There is one for pulp fiction, particularly. It's called Pulp Fest, which is in Pittsburgh every year, and I looked at it and I thought that might be something down the road to try out, because my covers, I don't really write pulp fiction. I don't really write film noir or anything like that, but the covers kind of fit in that vein. So maybe that's something I do. And I just have to, I just choose as I go. And anything new that pops up, there is a new book festival that's going to be coming to Pittsburgh next year. I've only heard just a few basic things about it, but they're going to be doing a big festival that's going to be a free event. There's not going to be any cost for authors to get in on that, as I understand, which is really cool. So
wow, that is cool. That's unusual.
Very unusual.
Sign us up.
Yeah, sign us up. When for what's it called? Or
I think it's the Pittsburgh Festival of Books. They may have changed the name of it. I spoke to one of the owners months ago.
Yeah. Okay, that would be interesting.
So, okay, before we wrap up here, Kiersten, in maybe one or two sentences, can you give budding authors a little advice? Not to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
Well, one or two sentences. We don't have long.
All right, one sentence. When people are going to tell you from all walks of life, your parents, everyone who's important in your life, they're going to say, you can't do it, move on. Learn how to get a real job, whatever. If you know in your heart and soul that you can do it, just do it.
Just
do it, because it'll drive you nuts and you can't live your life according to what everyone else tells you that you can or cannot do. Just whatever.
Okay.
Write your darn book.
Cool. Perfect. Tori, ask you the same question. One or two sentences now. Short one.
Along similar lines, the important thing is this, is if you really really want to do something that badly, it is one of those things where you just need to take the time to do it. You need to make the time to do it for yourself. It can be hard if you're juggling work, juggling a family, that sort of thing. But you need to make the time for yourself. And if you are feeling the emotional investment in something, then you will do it. And this is the thing. I can't tell you how many people have come up to me and said, oh, I've got this great idea for a book. I want to write this book. And I'll say to them, okay, tell me about it. What's it about? And they'll say, well, it's about this, this, and this. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. How far along are you? And they're like, well, I haven't really started writing. I'm like, and I just say, do it. You're going to spend the rest of your life going, what if? What might have been?
Right.
Don't. It is better to write it, even if it stinks. You have done it. And then that's what editing is for. You go back and do it. Just go forward with it, have fun with it, and enjoy it. Don't think about trying to get on the New York Times bestseller list. Don't think about a Pulitzer. Don't think about getting signed to a big publisher. Write something. When you're writing it, write the thing that means the most to you and make it something that interests you personally. And when you're done with it, it's one of those things that you have to be able to say to yourself, this interested me personally. I got invested in this emotionally, and I'm proud of this. Even if it doesn't sell a lot of copies, as long as you are proud of what you wrote, that is going to find its audience. It's going to find it. You may be dead by the time they find it, the audience is found, or you might have left to go to your next life or whatever, but at least you did it. At least you did it, and you'll know instinctively that your voice was found and it found its audience. That's all. That's just what I say to people.
Perfect.
Yep.
Okay. Well, Tori, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
We appreciate your time, and everyone here appreciates it too. I know. So I'm going to drop you backstage now.
We'll see you in a minute.
We'll see you in a few minutes.
Same
and
with you,
Kirsten, thank you so much. We appreciate you too. And get some rest tonight, or try to, before your next endeavor there.
But we'll see you backstage.
We'll see you backstage, okay?
All right.
And I just want to thank our audience again. Great participation. Also, you saw comments from Paul Hollis and from Caleb Pirtle, and also from George Dismukes, which of course is the author of Siren Song, which should be out maybe in June or July. And I just want to thank them for all of their participation. And if you haven't listened to their shows, go back and listen to the shows. You can find them on any of our broadcasts. James Ricard said, "Dynamite show." Thanks, you.
James.
Thank you,
Thanks,
James.
Trish.
We appreciate it so much. I love our audience. You're all so encouraging and insightful and intelligence. And we're just really appreciative that you show up every week.
Yep. So next Wednesday, I hope you like vampires and fantasy, because Alan Zacher is one of our authors that is going to be on. And he writes about vampires, and also Suzanne Least, who writes the Dead series. Vampires and romance is even in there. So romantic vampires, I guess. Huh? Anyway, it should be a very interesting evening, and that's same time next week, same place, same station.
I just wanted to say, George just said super show, and Jenny said wonderful show. Thank you again for supporting Siren Song. We appreciate it so much. And don't forget, this is Jenny. She's the siren. Look for it, look for the book, and then look for the movie. I think we may be telling you about the movie about the time it comes out. Sorry about mispronouncing your jaguar's name.
So until next time.
That's all, folks.
Thank you for joining us here on Meet the Author. Make sure you stay up to date with our show by clicking like, follow, and share. And you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, and more. See you next time on WLFE-DB.com.
You've been listening to WLFE-DB.com, where our shows are your shows.